Hi, YouTube. It's one thing to see stuttering on one of the outputs, but when all three screens freeze at the same time, then that's generally not so good. I suspect what's happened is run out of drive space on the primary drive. So let me just tell you a little bit about that situation real quick. Hang on. That helps a little bit. Okay, well, we're back anyway. So I'm not going to be recording this. It's going to be recorded on YouTube. I'm not going to do an individual recording about that. Just to wrap up the thought, and then I'll tell you about the tech situation here. When the picture went out, I was mentioning that these two friends had parted, and that one had bought the other an elaborate pen and writing set and nice paper and so on, and that they exchanged letters. And that when he told this class this story, one of these girls started crying, and she started crying because she couldn't believe that anybody could care enough about somebody else to go to the trouble to write them a letter. And in that story is the answer to this problem. Really, in that story is the answer to not only to this problem, but to all our problems. That is, I need to actually talk to Father McTeague about this. So let me tell you about the computer setup here. I've been doing the show from this position, from this desk, since I've been in the studio. We had our own stage actually briefly when we moved here from the building. When I left the building that became the Daily Wire, I was in Edit Bay for the first several, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 40 Stratosphere Lounge shows. Jeremy was in an office just across the hall. We had 2 rooms on a floor, and then he ended up getting Daily Wire started. Then they bought 3 rooms on the floor, then they bought the whole suite on the floor, then they bought the floor, then they bought the building, then they bought the building and the building next to it. Then they moved to Nashville, and the growth continues, I don't want to say unabated, but spectacularly, and he's just simply the best businessman I've ever met in my life. He's just astonishingly astute guy, smart as a whip too. When I first met Jeremy Boring, I was in a room with was one of these Friends of Abe events for Hollywood conservatives, and I was sitting there next to Andrew Breitbart. I was hosting the event, and Andrew was there because we all just liked being there. We all liked being around each other, and we were going around the room as we always did. Everybody had a chance to talk as long as they wanted to, the new members and so on. And we got around halfway around the room, 3/4 of the way around the room, and Jeremy Boring started talking. And after, I don't know, 2 minutes, I just leaned over to Breitbart and said, "Jesus, Andrew, I think that might be the 3rd smartest guy in the room." And he was at least that. So anyway, it wasn't a hard drive issue. I've got plenty of hard drive space. It's the internal drive. So I've got the 2014 Mac Pro space turbine thing, that spherical, super cool looking thing with no moving parts. And I've had it for 10 years, and the second I got it, I loved it. Everything that we produced has been produced on that box. It had a terabyte internal hard drive, and it's just accumulated so much garbage that I keep moving stuff off of it, offloading it onto digital drives and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the thing is 10 years old, and for a computer, that's an old machine. Now, I already own, which I bought, 7 months ago or something, on the other side of the room over there. I have it's called a Mac Studio now. I was looking for the Mac Pro, but what am I going to replace this with? It's a Mac Studio. So it's a multimedia, brand new out of the box 2024 computer, and I've been saving it for story mechanics and things to come, and I just realized, I have to move a lot of stuff. But this was the final straw, because I've been saying to myself, I need to get this stuff organized and upgraded. And I don't think we've ever just completely lost the show the way we did there, where everything just locked up. So yes, I do have a DCS computer at home. I have a PC DCS computer at home. I've got a really nice PC here for the Mace Mattingly stuff too. I've not done an SMC reset. Battle Smurf, I don't know what that is. But in any event, what I really need to do is I need to take the new computer from over there and put it here, and then use this computer to do the streaming for story mechanics, because this thing is much, much faster. And I don't generally have to wait a long time to render these videos, although the backstage show, which we're doing tomorrow morning starting at 10:30, is usually about an hour and 15 minutes long, and that's a half an hour render to get out the door, and then probably another 25 minutes to upload to YouTube. So I will be working on that tomorrow. My desk is, I told our wonderful, wonderful operations manager, Shelley Speck, who's just the best person I know, I said, I got to make some sense out of this desk, but before I do, I'm going to go and I'm going to put a grid in. I'm going to have grid lines so that when I start excavating all of this stuff off of this desk, I'll be able to make a notation of where it came from, so, you know, scientists in the future will be able to recreate this archaeological dig. Anyway, I'm just checking the comments, seeing what's going on here. Yeah, it's interesting. There's always such nice people here. And then there's always one other person that reminds me of how nice everybody else is. Okay, so you know what? So what we'll do is we will. I don't read all the comments. I don't get most of them. Every now and then, I just kind of glance and forth between the two comment streams, and then I kind of catch something that catches my eye, and if it does, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions for tonight and see what we get.